Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome back to another video for Helldivers 2. Today we have had a minor patch added into the game and it does actually address some really interesting issues. So I thought what I'd do today is go through the patch notes, add my thoughts and opinions and let you know what's changed and whether or not I think that is a good thing, a bad thing or just a thing. Of course, if you do enjoy Helldivers 2, let me know. I've been covering it a little bit of time to time here on the channel. The more people watch this kind of stuff, the more people comment and engage with it, the more of this kind of content I will put out. So, without further ado, let's jump straight in. So, minor patch 01.000.100. Wow, that's like a binary one. This is March the 6th. I'm recording this on March the 7th. It's just gone live in the game as far as I've seen. That's what's inspired this video. So first of all, we have two major updates added. Planetary hazards are active. Many planets now have additional environmental challenges that will appear at random while you're deployed, from fire tornadoes to meteor showers and many more. I've already experienced an earthquake, and let me tell you, these are, I want to say not fun, but they're actually a lot of fun. They really throw a spanner in the works. They change up how you engage with the scenario. The meteor shower one, honestly, is a little bit crazy. Like, suddenly being pelted by rocks falling from the sky whilst you've got a load of cyborgs shooting at you or a massive swarm of Terminids charging your position is really quite dramatic. It massively impacts how the game plays. And if you are into Helldivers for the complexity and the chaos, then this is going to be really up your street because it does make things absolutely bonkers. And for that reason, I do love it. You see, when I'm playing Helldivers, the big point to me is that it's myself and some friends dropping onto a planet and just doing dumb, crazy stuff, like accidentally calling in the wrong stratagem because you've got that whole thing that mixes up which stratagem gets called in, thinking you're dropping a grenade launcher at your feet and instead dropping a 500-kilogram bomb. Yeah, that kind of stuff. I love that in Helldivers, and if that's the kind of thing you enjoy, then the new planetary hazards are going to be amazing for you. But I have already heard some people complaining, it's too crazy, there's too much going on. And I do understand that, but just be aware of what different environmental challenges are active on a planet before you drop in, and that will allow you to consider what your loadout is going to be, what kind of strategy you use in the mission, that kind of thing. And speaking of loadouts that you're going to be using, there have been some significant changes to those, as we'll see just in a moment. Now, in regards to balancing, the Eradicate missions, they now require more kills and enemies spawn more often. The time to complete the mission was previously shorter than intended and should now usually take twice as long to complete. And this is kind of a good thing. I've seen a lot of people, heck, I've been guilty of it myself, going on to, say, a cyborg eradication mission, whacking it all the way up to Helldive difficulty, dropping in, and then just dropping a load of things like mortar turrets and Gatling turrets and autocannon turrets, and then just kind of sitting there. Now, if you've had that achievement for doing a mission using only your secondary weapon, that's the easiest way to do it. And absolutely, that's how I did it. 4 of us dropped in, we each dropped those 3 turrets, and we barely had to do anything. Like, literally, the concept of having to walk up to the edge of the arena and shoot your pistol a couple of times was actually unnecessary. We could have done it without firing any of our actual on-person weapons at all. So I'm down with this. I'm down with this. And I do just want to say that there are a lot of people complaining that, oh, you know, these people, these YouTubers who are going, oh, look at me, I'm doing Helldive missions and it's only the Eradicate. Does it really count? And yeah, I kind of get that, but equally, I'm not going to police people's fun, right? Like, it's a good way to farm some of the rarer materials and to get a good amount of experience. I do understand wholeheartedly why they've changed it, and I agree with it. It's going to make those a bit more fun. I've not done one since this patch went live, but making those a little bit longer does really make sense. They were just a little bit too easy to farm, and if you had a particular mission set that was, say, 2 Eradicates and then something else, that was really an easy way to get bonkers amount of experience points. So I get why they've changed that. Then we have primary, secondary, and support weapons. The Breaker, everybody's favourite shotgun, has been fairly heftily nerfed. It's definitely not unusable. I'm still using this at the moment, and it still works. They've just decreased the magazine capacity from 16 to 13, so you are going to have to reload more frequently. That's fine. It's described in its description as having a small capacity. that's supposed to be its balancing factor, and it was just a bit too powerful. It was kind of like well, once you've got the breaker, why would you use anything else? So I get it. Again, dropping it from 16 to 13, it's not huge, but it is enough that it means you are having to reload and actually think about your shots just that little bit more. The recoil has also increased from 30 to 55, which just reduces the sort of spray and pray and cross your fingers that you're hitting something. You have to aim it a bit more. It's still absolutely a viable weapon. It's still, in my opinion, probably my favorite weapon, probably one of the better weapons to be using, the breaker, but it is just a little bit more balanced now, and there are genuinely valid reasons to take other weapons now, which is kind of the point of a balance patch. It's not about shifting up a meta. I hate it when people talk about shifting a meta, because all that is find which way is the best way to win, do that, and then wait until they do a balance patch and find the new way. You're kind of reducing the game down to a mathematical equation that you win after like a week of playing the game, and it gets really stale. The idea of a balance patch isn't to shift a meta, it's to break a meta. If you're finding that all of your players are doing the exact same thing, using the same loadouts, the same weapons, then yes, absolutely, you should be looking to change that up. But you're not trying to force them into a new loadout and kind of go, well, that's the new meta. No, you want everything to have its uses. And I think that's what's happened here quite nicely with the breaker. You can still use the breaker, it's still a good weapon, but you're not going to be punished or penalized, essentially, for using other weapons. The railgun, the other ubiquitous weapon that once it's unlocked is pretty much the only thing you ever carry in your secondary. Decreased armor penetration in safe mode, decreased damage against durable enemy parts. Good. The railgun was absolutely bonkers crazy powerful. The fact that it had major armor penetration even when using it in safe mode just felt ridiculously strong. Now you do have to risk it overheating, you have to risk the damage with it, and actually use that again effectively against the actual parts of the enemy that you're supposed to be shooting. Don't be shooting the armored parts with the railgun, shoot the squishy parts, right? Good. Nice change. It doesn't remove the weapon's effectiveness, but it certainly reduces it if you're using it, quote-unquote, incorrectly. This is now pushing you to actually use the railgun as it was intended, which I'm all for. The flamethrower. I was really disappointed when I finally unlocked the flamethrower. I just found it wasn't really doing enough, and so they have increased the damage per second by 50%. This means it is going to be much better at taking out hordes. I was finding that even against Terminid swarms, when it's all just the small little gribbly bug ones, that using the flamethrower, yeah, I could hit tons of them, but it just wasn't really killing them. I was still getting overwhelmed and swarmed. The flamethrower, I have tried since the patch, and absolutely, it is now much better. It's good at taking down swarms of small enemies. It's still not great against the bigger guys, it's nicer against the bigger guys, but it is very much a horde reduction weapon now, which is exactly how I feel the flamethrower should have been. So I'm kind of, happy that I was justified in how I felt about the flamethrower. Nice change. The laser cannon, increased damage against durable enemy parts, increased armor penetration, and improved ergonomics. This is about the aiming and moving with it. And again, the laser cannon was one of those I unlocked fairly early on. I thought, oh, this will be really good for taking out certain enemies, and it was niche. It had its uses, especially on the cyborg missions, but it never felt quite right. I've not used it since the patch, but I have reason to now. I want to give this another go, especially since it's now actually able to work against the durable enemy parts, which means the spool up doesn't matter as much. You can just kind of hit something and just keep hitting it, even if you're not hitting it in the perfect area anymore. It kind of makes up the laser cannon towards where the railgun was. So bringing the laser cannon up and the railgun down kind of puts those in both a better position to be seen as equal options, which I'm all for. The Punisher increased the total ammo capacity from 40 to 60, increased the stagger force, increased damage from 40 per bullet to 45 per bullet. That is not an insignificant buff. That is quite a big increase to the Punisher. And again, nice reason for me to actually include this in a loadout now, to actually start using this. The going from 40 to 60 on the ammo capacity alone is pretty big. That's a 50% increase to its ammo capacity, reloading 50% fewer, and getting a lot more bullets before you need to start looking for resupplies and things. The increased stagger force as well, again, really good against hordes of enemies like your little small gribbly bugs, especially things like, is it the hunters, which are the terminids that have the little wing things that jump at you. Anything that can stagger those a bit better, damn, I'm all for it. Good change, like it. Breaker Spray and Pray. So whereas we've nerfed the main Breaker, the Breaker Spray and Pray has actually had a buff. It's had its armor penetration increased, the fire rate's gone from 300 to 330, increased the number of pellets from 12 to 16 per shot, but decreased the magazine size from 32 down to 26. So again, you're going to be reloading it more frequently, but it is going to be more effective whilst you are using it. Now, the Breaker Spray and Pray is not a gun I've actually used. I don't think I even have it unlocked at the moment. But again, this looks nice, and I've spoken to a lot of people who are further along in Helldivers 2 than I am, who, when I said, oh, should I unlock this, were like, the standard Breaker's better. So again, we're looking at that point of the Spray and Pray being increased, mostly. It's got a decrease there as well on its magazine size, whilst the Breaker is being reduced. This is about pulling all of the weapons into an equal zone of usability. It's not about just making stuff bad and making stuff good. It's about getting everything into a balance point. And we call it a balance patch, for crying out loud. Why do gamers just have this massive misconception about balance patches and meta formations and stuff like that? So yeah, good. I'm glad with that change. I'm looking forward to unlocking that now and giving it an actual whirl. Then we have the Strategem, the energy shield backpack, increased delay before recharging. Again, this was a fairly ubiquitous piece of gear. Breaker, railgun, energy shield backpack. Some people would use the supply backpack, but the energy shield was a very common one for this because it just adds a lot of survivability, again, especially against the cyborgs. The fact that when that shield drops, it's now got a little bit longer before you can put it back up, good. Again, it's one of those things of reducing it in order to promote alternative options. Finally then, for stratagems, 380mm and 120mm orbital barrages increased the duration of the bombard and decreased spread. Both very nice changes. I've unlocked both of these and I didn't really find much use for them. Like, when it comes to it, the 500 kg bomb is just going to be a better thing for the most part. This, having that additional duration of bombardment now and a tighter spread, means you're going to do more damage with it, which is a good thing. All for that change. I will look forward to giving that a go now. Then we have some fixes. We've got the fixed armor rating values not reducing damage as intended. This is to do with players and their armors as far as I'm concerned, so that's good. It means that if you're using heavy armor, there is now more of a reason to use heavy armor, especially the ones that it's not just like the 50% reduction to explosive, it is just straight up armor values. Because of course, heavy armor has reductions to your stamina and things like that. I'll be honest, I've been using light armor for the most part, very rarely even medium armor, because I found that the increased stamina was much better for survival than the increased damage, because you can just dodge roll and pretend you're playing Dark Souls with guns. So yeah, good. Glad to see that there's a reason to use heavy armor a bit more. Fixed certain bug holes that were unnecessarily hard to destroy, including stalker nests. Good. God, hate stalkers. I had a mission the other day where we had 3 stalker nests on the map. 3 stalker nests! There was nothing quite like trying to take down 2 bile titans with a load of charges, and then about 4 or 5 stalkers suddenly turn up on your position. Like, seriously, what do you do in that point? I know the aim is to go around and try and destroy the bug nests and get rid of those stalkers first, but yes, it says here some of those were unnecessarily hard to destroy. Good. Anything that nerfs stalkers, I'm happy with. Fixed an anti-alias tool, not working on PS5. I'm on PC. Good change, I guess, but balanced lighting across all planets to solve cases where the game was too dark. Again, good. I do like the atmosphere, but there were certain ones, especially if you had low visibility on certain dark planets. God, you couldn't see further than the end of your own rifle. That's problematic in a shooter. Like, atmosphere and tension is one thing. Ramping the difficulty up to the point where it's not just unfair, it's actually unfun. Yeah, I'm glad with that. Improved flashlight efficacy. So again, when you're in a darker area, your flashlight actually picks up more stuff. Good. Increased visibility during sand rain weather on Errata Prime. Updated tutorial materials and lighting. Good. Improved cases where some materials could look blurry if lighting graphic setting was set to low. Nice for those people who are running on lower specs, I guess. Fixed timing issues that occur in Extract E710 primary objective. Not experienced that one, but it's a fix. Changed button interaction behavior for buttons in bunker POIs. Helldivers will now let go of the button after holding it for a few seconds. Good! The amount of times I've had idiots not aware that you have to press a button to let go of the bunker button, and would just stand there until basically someone else dropped grenades at their feet and then respawned them back in, because people are idiots and don't read chat. Good. We've got a thing that now actually means you automatically disconnect from that. Nice. Fixed some cases of large assets floating if the ground beneath them was blown up. Graphical change, good. Helldivers standing next to ICBMs during launch will get properly toasty with a chance of not so spontaneous combustion. Also, good. Reason to run away from the ICBM now. Whereas it felt like it was this massive missile taking off and you could kind of just stand there and take in the view. Now it's that little bit more chaos. Fixed unthrowable snowballs after ragdolling. Nice. Fixed being able to use grenades after downing. Cool, after drowning, sorry. Yep, cool. Yeah, this was an issue we had where people are drowned and suddenly you can't use grenades because you had the grenades equipped and it wouldn't actually let you unequip them. Camera no longer locked on player's own corpse and blocking spectator mode. Good, it's really annoying just staring at your body wondering what everyone else is doing. Helldivers now take damage from fire, gas, etc. generated by other players. Interesting, because I thought that fire, certainly you were. I've died to other people using flamethrowers for starters. Armor no longer stretches when dismembered. Good. Graphical changes, all nice. Then we have some known issues, either introduced by this patch or are being worked on, so just if you've seen any of these, be aware that they're aware and they're looking at it. Game may crash after dropping several high-power stratagems in succession. Yeah, of course. If you drop a whole load of stuff like this, calculations plus graphics equals boom. Picking up items from caches may cause characters to freeze in place for an extended period of time. Okay, duly noted. Players cannot unfriend other players befriended via friend code. Do you just have to block them then? Players may be unable to select loadout or return to ship when joining a multiplayer game session via PS5 activity card. Mission objective heads-up display displays different numbers for client and host during some missions. Default armor is also shown while viewing the war bond, regardless of the armor that the player has equipped. Okay, yeah. Text chat display is obstructed by the cinematic letterboxing during extraction. Yeah, I can see how that would be annoying. Some text in the HUD UI is missing or not displayed correctly. Players may experience issues when many players attempt to log in and or play at the same time. Login rate limiting. Good. Players may become disconnected during play. Not so good. Players' UI issues may appear when the game interacts with servers. Some games may not be joinable by others for a short period of time. So there are some known issues. This happens with every balance patch, and I know some people always come in and go, oh look, they've broken it. Yeah, that's because that's how coding works. If you complain that stuff breaks when other stuff gets fixed, you've clearly never tried programming. It's not a fun thing to necessarily do. Overall, I think this is a really good patch. I think it reduces the effectiveness of stuff that was basically ubiquitous through gameplay, whilst also increasing stuff that was being used less. This is moving towards balance. It's about giving players options, rewarding people for using the right tool in the right situation. It's not just going to be, hey, breaker, railgun, shield backpack, and then whatever else you fancy. It now actually has some reasons to try out different pieces of equipment, and I'm all for that. Anyway, folks, that's everything for this particular balance patch. Let me know what you think if you've been playing Helldivers 2. How does this patch affect you? Are you excited to try stuff? Are you annoyed that your broken OP combo is no longer broken OP? Let me know in the comment section down below, and if you enjoy content like this, make sure you're subscribing and consider becoming a channel member to help support the channel. Otherwise, thanks for watching, happy sailing, and see you all planetside.